So as it's nearly spring, I decided to go to the spring of the Thames. We're going to do it with wild camping. We're going to walk all 200 miles, hopefully. Bit of a cow problem. This is like the adventure game of old. 1, 2, 3, 4. Safety. It's a place you'd expect there to be a Doctor Who villain hiding. First ever guided missile there. Oh, that's it. Yeah, it ends here. All hail the Andrex Tower. I was tempted to go and find their tent and trash it, and that'd be naughty, but you know, it was just like, really? If you're wild camping too, don't play games and piss around. So if you want to follow me up the river, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, or share with your friends because it helps the channel.
Good morning. Probably hear the flapping. It's been like that all night. We're a little bit exposed here, but the tent's held up well. I was expecting the pegs to pull out because of the gravelly, sandy ground, but no, it didn't. Oddly, the door zip sort of opened itself up. I don't think that was somebody doing that. I think it's just the wind. To be honest, I'm not really doing stealthy. Very visible from inside the river, from the tanker port and the path, but the path is so remote at this point that you're either going to get some very local dog walkers or nobody, because it takes several miles to get here. Don't think we're going to get disturbed, but possibly. But I was just like, oh, sod it. It's Sunday morning. I did set my alarm at 6 at the door, and I was like, yeah, it's so much more cramped, the lunchtime one. I'd forgotten how cramped it is. I don't like having my pack on the outside for security reasons. Less sunny today. Not exactly beach weather. Flattened tent, so it's not obvious. But I probably need to bother because seriously, there's no one here. This place is desolate. That's the site clean. Let's try and get out of here. That might be harder than it looks with all these rocks. Watch me break my ankle on camera. And of course now it's wet as well. But hey. It's only because I've done this on the way in. I know I can probably do it with a selfie stick on the way out. Bye, lovely spot. So yeah, 7 miles to Gravesend. I'm very short on water, so I need to make that. It's 5 miles to anywhere, or 3 miles to anywhere. 7 miles to civilization. Even if I decide not to camp out tonight, I really do need to get to Zone 6 or somewhere like that because the cost of train tickets and stuff. Completely forgot how utterly annoying the Landsham one is. It's weird, I use these all the time and it was my main tent, and try and keep this channel PG rated. It would have been a lot of editing. It's weird, the Landsham 2, maybe because it's bigger and a bit heavier, is easier to put away in the wind. Whereas just the Landsham 1 is just so easy. It's like a crisp packet. It just tries to blow away at every opportunity. Of course, I do the classic thing of remove the pegs on the opposite side and whatever, but you do need to unpeg it at some point. And it just tries to fly away. I also do it the wrong way as well. I think you're supposed to take out the inner and keep that dry. But I leave the fly and the inner attached, so I just can't be arsed. Especially with wild camping, it's like, yeah, I'm really going to sit there and slowly disassemble my tent while someone comes along and gawps at me. And this is the wonderful view of the tanker terminal. But actually no, I had a good night. I actually ended up being up to 17 degrees in my tent. That's crazy. That's just from body warmth. Maybe because there's less space, so it warms up easier, I suppose. It's so easy to touch the walls that you just get wet. It's a tent for summer, really, the Landsham one. It's a really good tent, and I recommend it. But good for wild camping because you're going to be gone in the morning. I'll spend a lot of time in it. I might take the weight penalty in future trips. Go for the Landsham 2. Bit of a cow problem. I bet they're like, oh, there's another YouTuber. I had one of these every week. Hey, coo. I need to get round. Problem is, if I go here, you're going to be like, oh, run away. Yeah. Sorry. I'm surprised they're up here because it's supposed to be sheltered up down there. This is what counts as drama around here. One of my least favourite things is going through cow fields, just avoiding the cow poo. I wouldn't usually put it in that words, but I'm sending these back anyway. Because of the issue with the spike through the foot, and also the soles are squeaking and they're starting to fall apart after less than 50 miles. Send it back, smelling of cows. That seems to be very poetic justice. I talk about this place being an estuary. You might be saying, well, Tim, it's a river. It's actually tidal until Teddington Lock. But that depends if the Thames barrier is open. The Thames barrier was opened in 1983. Before then, there was real flooding problems. I think there was a 53 floods, history of flooding. So it's up to then. It is indeed tidal, even though obviously it's a river as well, but a tidal estuary. So that's why you have to worry about tides around here. Not massively like some places, but it's still an issue. Yeah, lovely day. More rangers. This is Cliffe Marshes. Maybe someone in the comments know what these are. Let's say I know they're rangers. They're old rangers. These are more modern than the ones. It could be World War II. I actually have a seawall. We also have Jaws over there. It's just a passage to family, braving the elements. They're the first people I've seen since about 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. Last yesterday, so I think about 10ish now, or 9. That's crazy. This idea of the South being full of people is just, well, it's people that drive all the time. There's people who drive and stay near shopping centres, never even venture off into footpaths. This is what this series is about, really. There are lots of places along the Thames, lots of places that are just, I wouldn't say untouched, because you'll find really in the middle of nowhere we had someone had created a fire pit and somewhere to sit, and I've seen other bits where someone's been camping there. But, fairly remote. One of the questions I had was whether at Cliffe there was anything, but I just found this little spot. The ground doesn't seem to be boggy. It's a little bit damp, but would be at this time. By the lake, one of these RSPB lakes, and it's away from the trail. The trail's up that way. So this would have been perfect last night. The other thing is it's taken me, 2 hours to get here. I would have got here very, very late last night. I don't know what was here at Cliffe Pools. Something big. There's even sort of concrete flooring, remains of buildings, girders. This is where the Cliffe Pools, where they've been putting the dredgings in from Westminster, or from the river. It's funny how they call it conservancy. Just it's the same thing with Hamlands. That's all bomb damage from the war. They just dump this stuff. There was a similar project up in Burnham on Crouch. They'd turn it into a bird reserve and say, "Oh, it's conservancy." And it's just a dump. So I think it's Cliffe Creek. This. We haven't got to the fort yet. That's to come. You're just going to walk all the way in and out. The kind of thing is why it's going to be probably more than 200 miles because of lots of in and out. You think you've travelled many miles and you've only travelled 3, but you've gone kind of in and out, especially around the docks and the old saltings. And the worst one is Dartford Creek. You have to walk several miles inland to get over a bridge. And this isn't actually Cliffe. This is some World War II. Yeah, I can't near Cliffe. Cliffe is just around the corner here. But certainly this area also would be quite amenable, I think. But I think you'd get more people coming here and disturbing you early on. I've seen many more people around here than I did anywhere near where I was camping. This is Cliffe Fort, and unfortunately gravel quarry, which is what you're hearing, Cliffe Fort dates back to the 1860s. It says on Wikipedia, I had to look that one up. I think Shornemead might date from then. But yeah, this is a bit later. Sadly, they've been disused since the 1950s and it's flooded and falling apart and there's a serious danger of just being wrecked. Lots of it is just falling down. Can't go in there. Behind it is a massive sort of gravel extraction quarry. So it's not exactly a fun thing to walk past. The thing to remember here is the first ever guided missile there, called the Brennan torpedo. You can see the chute. I've got photographs of that. And this is the Brennan, or remains of it. Brennan tube. That's where they would launch it from. And yeah, a bench. There was actually a bench here on this. So you can stare on the quarry. This is like the adventure game of old. If you remember the adventure game. Because here's the Saxon Shore Way, but it's getting very, very boggy. And there's the coast path, and I'm trying to cross between the two. But yeah, we need to go for the tussocks. Just like little things in here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Safe from the Drogna. Planning to do a Scottish trip. That's the one thing that I'm a bit like about. Okay, I think I'm going to do a dash. 1, 2, 3, 4. Safety. That's one way of using them, I suppose. More useful like this. And this is Shornemead Fort. Again, like Cliffe 1860s, was closed due to subsidence in the 1950s. Guns couldn't really be fired here. The lower magazines are flooded. Very hard to get into. People have tried. Most of it was demolished in the 1960s, and only the front of it with some remains. There's a whole complex to it. You can go up to it. And also inside it, which is why I was thinking of camping here. There's actually another place in the shore which looks very campable as well. So yeah, you can see the smoke there. And the fire. So it might not be the best place to rock camp, but on the shoreline there's places down there. Absolutely no way I could have made that in a day, I think. That's crazy thinking. It was half a day because it started at 11:30, so it wasn't even a full day. Maybe a full day I could have done it, but yeah, it's more than 12 miles. But I was aware of this place. It's got a reputation for fires and people come in here and graffiti. So, unlike Cliffe. But inside it's quite sheltered, probably why they're having their fire. My favourite shingle, but then we got that choice. Mud versus shingle. Fight! I think this has been added. This is the less picturesque, well, you would say versus all the stuff you've been seeing earlier, but this is the less picturesque part. Well, the Portland Authority and sort of tanker things and all these ship repair services and things like that. I want to see if there's a piece of graffiti that I remember from back then. It's still in the down here. It's still here. I've got a photograph of that. Very scenic. Albion Marine Engineers. It's kind of place you'd expect there to be a Doctor Who villain hiding. Mudfront or seafront. There is some shingle, I suppose. It is kind of like glutinous mud. They used to have a lot of traffic cones and shopping trolleys in here. They seem to have removed those, that's good. Otherwise, very similar to what I remember. There's a lightship tourist attraction at Gravesend. I'm always here when it's closed, so I've not been in one, but lightships used to be manned. The other fact I know is that one of the pirate radio ships was on a lightship. Well, it's a decommissioned lightship. Swanscombe is 3 miles from here, and I just had a really nice fish and chip. Very late lunch. It was a bit later than expected. I got here 7 miles, I think I'll make Swanscombe okay at 3 miles. I've got some milk because I forgot my Nido powder. Like a 12-year-old, I just drank most of a pint of milk because I was like, well, I don't want to carry this with me.
And this is Gravesend Pier. There's a joke. You've probably heard about Wigan Pier. It's a very short thing. I think it's shorter than this one. But yeah, when I heard about Gravesend Pier, I was like, what is this? Oh, that's it. Yep, that is Gravesend Pier. So I've been on the road to Gravesend Pier. You get a nice view of the pier, but yeah, it ends here. Track back. This happens a lot. Either developments or wharfs. They quite often just end and you have to go back again. Again, what the hell? This is a cable wharf. You definitely can't walk. I suspect you could. I have a vague memory of this, although I don't remember this building. I do hope they're keeping that in the new development. But yeah, looks at the map and actually you have to turn down the street. Go. This is weird. There's no signs here. I wonder what the plaque says. Who's Jeremiah Rosher?
It's me, Edit Tim, and I will jump in here because it's quite fascinating. Jeremiah Rosher was a chalk extraction businessman in the Victorian era who created a place called Rosherville, which wasn't successful, and then he leased part of it to George Jones, who created the Rosherville Pleasure Gardens, which were incredibly successful. 20,000, 30,000 people came through those gates. It opened in 1830s and closed just before the World War One. One of the reasons why it closed, things like the Prince Alice disaster, which I will detail in a future video, and the fact that railways meant that people could go to other places like Margate. Sadly, very little survives apart from the quayside and pier that you saw those plaques on. Cliff top entrance, a bear pit, which is in the estate you're looking at here, and a few other bits like a hermit's cave and something called the enigmatic cavern. It's just fascinating, and I really am sad for that this is a lost thing.
You're getting really confused because I'm so sure that you could walk through here, up here, through here, and I have dim recollections of that pub. But it looks like Cable Wharf have completely destroyed the Thames Path. It now redirects you up here and then down the hills. You have to go uphill or downhill. Have you ever been to the Andrex Tower? All hail the Andrex Tower! I go to the nicest places. I bet you're jealous. Talk about a hidden path, and also not really be that welcoming. At least they haven't done a Cable Wharf. Yeah, I totally remember this place. It was raining when I was here, which is weird because I generally didn't do these kind of walks when it was like that kind of weather. Do you think they get special blue trees for the blue pallets? I assume another one gone. And one of the reasons why I did the walks back then of the wharfs is that wharfs were rapidly disappearing in the 90s. In the 80s and 90s, they were getting demolished or destroyed. That's one of the reasons why I did those walks. And I assume the photographs, in a weird way, are possibly documentary evidence now of what it was like in the 90s and the noughties. And as was found with Cable Wharf, got any photos of that, that's, not the only document, but it's like it's gone now. And that's why I did those river walks. I just reminded myself, because someone asked me what gave me the inclination to do this walk, and I could have said, my YouTube channel, which is true, but that, to be really honest, it's something I had planned well before YouTube was even a thing. So it is something that's important to me. And I think a lot of it is to do with a trip of history, and it's a trip of not only my history, but also the history of the river, the history of stuff like this, which is rapidly disappearing and becoming, luxury homes, becoming sites like this, and respect to places like Evans for not only flying the progress flag, but also allowing the path to go through the wharf. The reason I'm doing it is to travel back to my own history, but also show you the history
of the river. That's why I talk about the history as well. People look at it and go, oh, that's a crumbling old wharf, but when they're all gone, there won't be anything like that at all. I mean, look at pictures and they'll be rather confused by it. So, it's kind of sad to see industrial heritage and also, war heritage, like the forts, go and to fall apart. Oh, a record. Bad Manners. Oh, a good record. Not very playable. North Fleet Harbour Restoration Trust, vision for the future. North Fleet Harbour is the site of the most exciting opportunity for a marina. The one thing this area doesn't need more of is marinas. It's just all opportunity for luxury flats. It was all vastly disappearing from the 1980s. And it's sad to see, like with Cable Wharf, that process is continuing. These sites are lying derelict, but also they're a view of the past as well. There's industrial heritage there. The site, which I will probably end up on tonight, was threatened with being turned into a theme park. And there's various other, plans and housing and various things, and they've all fallen through over the years, thankfully. And fascinating to see how it's changed over the last 20, 30 years. This is Botany Marshes, very beautiful. And also quite wild campy. It's not where I want to be though. Got a mile to go. I'm not happy about walking in the dusk, but yeah, let's go. Had a nightmare of getting the tent up, finding a space, finding a place. I'm at Swanscombe, or near Swanscombe. I went to Swanscombe itself and found a perfect spot. It was near a path, but not a main path. One of the other paths. I'd passed these two Eastern European or Russian guys earlier on the other path going up. There was something about it, I was like, oh dear. One of them had a big rucksack. I'm thinking, oh, they're doing the same thing as me. And then when I was sitting there, I hadn't put up my tent yet. I was just sort of sitting there thinking, a bit exposed. It's a bit by the other path. But, I'm not sure. But I heard voices. Actually, I was wandering away looking for a better spot down the path, and I scuttled back because I heard voices. And it was those two on the phone or video phone with someone else really loudly. The other one didn't have his rucksack with him. So they busted my spot, and even worse, I sort of sat there with my rucksack looking at the scenery, just not, with no light on, just thinking, just hoping they didn't see me. And I looked up and it was obvious one of them had still seen me. And then they stopped about, 10, 15 metres down the path. And we're doing something with the phone, and I don't know what the hell they were doing. And I was like, are they filming me? Are they taking a picture? What's going on? Because they're pointing it in my direction. And I was like, I just got creeped out, so I had to leave. But the thing is, the reason why I was there and sitting on the rucksack is my legs were killing me. And I was like, I can't go any further. So I was sitting there thinking, should I go home? Or should I stay and camp here? There's nobody around. Until they turned up. And the problem is, it's the area around where, if you know Swanscombe, there's a big pylon with red lights. Visible from everywhere around here. In fact, I'm actually by a pylon, and I can hear the electricity pylon from the tent. But I had to go half a mile, a long way away from them. It was like, I don't trust these people, and it's such a thing to do. I'm not sure if I can even walk tomorrow now, because I pushed it past that point because I just had to keep walking away from them. And so I'm now kind of like the other side of Swanscombe, right on the edge, nowhere near them. Hopefully they don't come a-looking. I was tempted to go and find their tent and trash it, but that would be naughty. But it was just like, really? If you're doing the same thing as me, if you're wild camping too, don't play games and piss around. Especially don't be on the phone loudly with your mates and just make so much noise. I wasn't close to that red pylon, but I was near on another path. I had a feeling that might attract idiots. It does.
I wanted to go for the light, but that area, I've forgotten that area is private, and according to the signs, that area has also got some kind of irritant in it, which I'm not sure I believe, but the bit I'm in is apparently fine. Right. There's a lot of dead grass around here, and I'll be like, so I'm going to be careful about touching the ground, but we shall find out. We find out if the humming of the pylons will affect me as well. That was day 2 of Thames Spring. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said at the start, if you want to keep track of my journey along the Thames, please subscribe to get new episodes as they're released. Talking of new episodes, I will put the previous episode on the screen now, and that will be the next episode when that's released. And I hope to see you soon.